I want to welcome all of you in today on this glorious celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King's life and his birthday. And it's a wonderful thing for all of you all to come out just to hear some stories and be together and mingle. And this morning I did an interview at 6 o'clock in the morning. Praise him. And she asked a question, the news anchor asked a question about how is this reflective of Martin Luther King? And he was one of the greatest orators that I have actually known in my lifetime. And I'm Dr. Nancy Tolson, and welcome. And I am the Director of Undergraduate Studies at the University of South Carolina in African American Studies. So, thank you. I thank my ancestors for all of that, because it took them to get me here. But I also am teaching this semester, and it is so wonderful. I'm teaching two classes. One is over at 11:59 tonight. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. I did an online during Christmas from December 26th to today, every day. Praise him. And that was a challenge. Y'all keep coming in. We've got chairs. We got chairs, ushers. Right, ushers. Right, we have them. Raise your hand if you use deodorant. I'm just playing. Oh. But one of the things I'm teaching are founding documents. And one of the documents that we are using, that we have used, is letters from a Birmingham jail. And it is the most beautiful piece of prose that I know of. And so today is so delightful to be part of the thought process of Dr. Martin Luther King, to celebrate his glorious time here, even if it was so short, but it's so monumental. We are doing it through the art of storytelling, and we're also doing it through the art of dance. So after you leave here, you can go out and shake yourself free for a little while. But I really want to thank you. On behalf of Friends of African American Art and Culture, FAAAC, which is an affinity group here at the Columbia Museum of Art, I welcome you as one of the board members. I also welcome you to the Columbia Museum of Art as one of the commissioners for the Columbia Museum of Art. I also welcome you as one of the docents at the Columbia Museum of Art. Yes, I love the Columbia Museum of Art because we have so many things for so many people. We have a Black art collection that is out of sight, and most people don't know that. Our community, you're welcome. Come see it. Ask for me by name to do your tours, but I'm here for you. And Sarah, hey Sarah, hi! She's a docent as well. It is a glorious time, as I said before, for you all to be here. I really want to thank you. Storytelling, it is something that we've all done. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was, and it was also oral, because God said, and it became. And so sit back today, relax, let your mind flow. Storytellers, what do? We're like your coloring book. We give you the outline, and you're filling it in with whatever you imagine, right? If I told you all, I was walking down the street with my dog Pookie, and we were walking down the street, what kind of dog is Pookie? What kind of dog is Pookie? Seriously. Who said poodle? Do I look like a poodle? I want you to leave right now. What kind of dog do you think Pookie is? A Doberman, thank you. A German Shepherd, what else? A what? A Mastiff. Girl, I wish. But a pit? A rescue mutt. Yes. He was a rescue. And he was a Beagle Schnauzer with a disability. He didn't have all of his bottom jaw. And because of that, his tongue hung out. So don't go, that dog lived a good life. But do you see how you filled in the blanks? Well, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to allow you to flow through your own mind, carry you to different places, and then you will be soothed for just a little while. Now, during the time of slavery, there was that one enslaved person. It could have been a he, it could have been a she, but most of the time it was a he. And after a long, horrible, treacherous day at the fields, they would gather around because they knew that that person, that one person, could soothe them for just a little while. They take that pain away. They take that anger away. And a lot of times we would call that person Hi John. Now, Hi John, we're not sure where he came from, but we believe Hi John came from Africa. You know, Hi John always came, and you knew he was coming because you had a little tickle. You knew he was coming. You knew John was coming because the spirit of John came before he did. Now, John was one of those people. We don't know if he was big or if he was small, because it depends, because everybody had a different kind of description of him. But all we knew was they called him B-Man. Because you know what? John would be there when trouble was coming, and John would be there when trouble was leaving. Oh, John was that kind of person. Now, you know, he didn't like slaving. No, he did not like slaving. He liked living and he liked laughter. And he had a lot of living and laughter to do. And he made the rest of his friends and family, he allowed them to laugh. He allowed them to smile just for a moment or two. That's what John was all about. Now, John, if he was given an axe, you know what happened? If John was given an axe, somehow or another, that axe would break by accident. Now, if John was told to go to the tool shed, somehow or another, that tool shed would just burn down by accident. Now, sometimes, they would allow John to go to the field and take the mules. John would take those mules to the field, and you know what? Those mules would clobber up 4 or 5 rows of cotton by accident. But let me tell you, now, if John wanted to half work, if he wanted to just work a little bit, you know what John would do? John would fill up bags that came to 1,000 pounds in a day. That's what he would do on a half a day work, right? If that was just half of what he felt. But when John was ready to do some real work, John would pick cotton like it was a snow blizzard. You wouldn't see anything but the cotton all over the place. Oh, that's what John was. John was that spirit. And as I said, John would leave when trouble left. Now, Massa didn't like him much. John didn't care. But you always had that little giggle at the end. When he left, you'd have a memory, and you held on to that memory. Well, us storytellers, we all have a little bit of John in us. And so today, we're going to give you a little bit of Hi John the Conqueror. Honey, let me tell you. The next one we're going to have up is going to be Mrs. Elsie White.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Boy, y'all sure look good out there today. I want to thank Miss Nancy for starting off with the story of Hi John. And I want to kind of add a little bit more to the story that she told about Hi John. You know, she gave the introduction to my story that I was getting ready to tell. But I'm going to tell a story about Hi John and the walking stick. Now, as Sister Nancy just said, Hi John came over here from Africa. And as she said, some folks thought he was a big man and some folks thought he was a little man. But as she said, he was a B man. He be there when trouble come and he be there when trouble go. And he didn't like slaving. He didn't like to be a slave. But if it took whatever it took for him to do whatever he needed to do, like picking cotton, as she said, he could pick up to 1,000 pounds of cotton a day. And sometimes he'd be picking cotton so fast, it looked like he was in the midst of a blizzard. Those cotton balls would be flying so fast. But one thing that Hi John could really do, he could fish. And the master, the slave master, used to love to take Hi John fishing with him because Hi John knew where all the fish were in the river. He knew the best spots to catch the fish. So one morning he told Hi John, "Come on, John, get your fishing pole. We're going to fish." Hi John was so excited because he was going fishing with the slave master. And when the slave master came up the road and Hi John met him, the slave master was just trotting along and had his new walking stick with him, a black shiny walking stick with a silver tip for the handle and a silver tip on the end. And they were walking to the riverbank. Soon, the slave master looked back at Hi John and he said, "Hi John, you haven't said anything about my new walking stick." And Hi John said, well, master, I just noticed the walking stick is one of the prettiest walking sticks I've ever seen. But it's the only walking stick I have ever seen that's got 3 ends. Slave master scratched his head. He said, "Hi John, this walking stick don't have no 3 ends. Something must be wrong with you." Hi John said, "Yes, sir, master. That's the prettiest walking stick I have ever seen with 3 ends." Master knew Hi John was always playing tricks on him. So he said, "I got him this time, because ain't no way in the world he can tell me that this walking stick got 3 ends." He said, "Hi John, if you can prove to me that this stick got 3 ends, I'm going to give you a big fat hen for your dinner tonight." Hi John said, "Yes, sir, master." He goes over and take the walking stick up and holds it in his hand like this. Look to the master. He said, "See? That's 1 end right there. That's the handle." And he said, "And that's the other end, the 2nd end right here, the bottom." The master said, "Okay, well, where's the 3rd end?" Hi John took that walking stick, held it up in the air, and threw it in the middle of the river. He said, "The end." I bet you guys were wondering how a walking stick would have 3 ends too, didn't you? Okay. The next story I'd like to share with you is entitled, "Wicked John and the Devil." Now, this story is one of the stories that has been told by a great storyteller by the name of Jackie Torrance. And she often would tell this story at the National Storytelling Festival that's held in my brain go out to lunch sometimes it don't come back. The National Storytelling Festival that's been held in Jonesboro, Tennessee. So I'd like to share this story with you. Now, way up in the southern mountains of North Carolina, there lives this old man by the name of John. Now, John was the most honorous, the most wickedest, most hateful man anybody ever seen. He was so hateful that the town people started calling him Wicked John. He was so mean and hateful that he would call down in the morning and ask his wife, "Wife, is my breakfast ready?" And she would say, "Yes, Wicked John." And she would run up in the closet and hide because she was scared of him. Oh, Wicked John was a blacksmith by trade. Every morning he would come down and eat his breakfast, pull up his overalls and reach up on the nail by the front door and get his set of keys and go on down the road and open his blacksmith shop. Well, one morning he went down there and he opened his blacksmith shop, and way over in the corner, he saw this black puff of smoke. No, he looked, and then the smoke cleared, and the smoke was white. He said, "Who's that back there in my shop? Who's back? You better tell me who's back there." And when the smoke cleared, it was an angel, a beautiful angel with a halo over her head. He said, "What you want in my shop?" She said, "Wicked John." She said, "You so mean down here, Wicked John." She said, "The Lord Almighty told me to come down here and give you 3 wishes so that you can go to heaven when you die." Wishes? I don't want no wishes. Get out of my shop. Look at you flapping them wings all over the place and dropping feathers. That means I got to sweep up all these feathers you dropping from them wings. Now get on out of here. She said, "No, Wicked John, I can't. I got to go to the Almighty. I got to go back to the Almighty, and I got to give you these 3 wishes." He said, "Okay, you messing up my work." She said, "What are your 3 wishes, Wicked John?" He said, "Well, let me see." He said, "You see that hammer over there?" And she said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I wish that if anybody come in my shop and messing around, and they pick up my hammer, that hammer won't let them go unless I say so." And the angel said, "Wow, Wicked John, that's an awful wish." He said, "My wish, ain't it? Do I get it or don't I?" She said, "Very well, Wicked John, what's your second wish?" He said, let me think. He said, "Well, every night I get through working here in this shop and I be tired and I try to go home and sit in my rocking chair and relax." He said, "When I get home, other folks be sitting in my rocking chair, and I wish that if anybody's sitting in my rocking chair, the rocking chair won't let him go unless I say so." Once again, the angel said, "That's an awful wish, Wicked John. It's my wish, ain't it? Do I get it or don't I?" She said, "Very well, Wicked John, what's your third wish?" He said, "Well, you see, I make a lot of money here in this blacksmith shop." And he said, "And every time I go home, get off from work, and I put my money in my wallet, and I go home and get in the bed and put my wallet on the dresser." He said, "While I'm asleep, my wife goes in my wallet and be taking money out of my wallet, saying she got to buy this and she got to buy that. So I wish that if any money gets in my wallet, the money won't come out unless I say so." Once again, the angel said, "Wicked John, that's some of the 3 awfulest wishes I have ever heard." Wicked John said, "But they my wishes, ain't it?" Time passed. Wicked John kept getting meaner and meaner and meaner. And one day, he went down to his shop and opened the door, and this time, it was a big cloud of black smoke in the shop back there. Once again, Wicked John said, "Who's that back there in my shop? You better tell me who you are. You know I don't like nobody messing around in my shop." And then he smelled it. He smelled brimstone. And then he heard this laugh. And the smoke cleared, and he said, "I'm the devil, Wicked John. I came to take your soul with me, Wicked John." Wicked John said, "I ain't going nowhere. I got work to do." He said, "Wicked John, you giving me an awful name up here on this earth." He said, "You ruining my reputation, Wicked John. So I'm going to have to take you back with me and get you off of this earth." Wicked John said, "I ain't going nowhere with nobody till I finish my work." And the devil said, "Oh, yes, you are, Wicked John." So Wicked John said, "Okay, I'll go with you soon as I finish my work, but I ain't going with you till I finish my work." So Wicked John, he started hammering, and he worked slower and slower and slower. And old devil was getting impatient. He was pacing the floor. He said, "Hurry up, Wicked John. I ain't got all day. I told you I got to take your soul back with me." So finally, Wicked John said, "Well, I would go with you, but I need you to help me out." The devil said, "Okay, well, what you want me to do?" Wicked John said, "See that hammer over there?" Devil said, "Yeah." Wicked John said, "Would you hand me that hammer?" The devil goes over and looked at the hammer. The hammer looked pretty big, so the devil started to pick it up with both hands. And he got back over to Wicked John, tried to hand him the hammer, and the hammer was stuck to his hand. He said, Wicked John, get this hammer off me. Get this hammer off me. Wicked John said, not until you make a deal with me. And the devil said, make a deal with you? I'm the devil. I don't make no deals with nobody. Wicked John said, well, then you're going to have to fly around with that hammer stuck to your hand. So finally the devil kept shaking. He couldn't get that hammer off. He said, okay, Wicked John, okay, I tell you what. I'm going to give you 20 more years here on this earth. But when I come back for you after 20 years, he said, you can bet your bottom dollar I ain't picking up no hammer. Well, time passed. Wicked John kept getting meaner and meaner and meaner. And soon at the end of 20 years old, Wicked John, he was so mean and he couldn't see good. His eyes was bad. And so all he would do when he got through working, he would go and sit on his porch. And one day he was sitting out there on the porch and he could look way back over in the corner. He thought he saw some smoke. And Wicked John thought, that must be him coming back for me now. All of a sudden, he heard this laugh. Wicked John, your 20 years is up. I'm back here for you, Wicked John. And Wicked John said, all right, devil, I know I promised you that I would go back with you after 20 years. He said, but I tell you what. He said, just give me a few minutes, devil. All I need to do is go in the house and pack my suitcase. And the devil said, suitcase? You don't need no suitcase. Where you going? Just a tank top and a few flip-flops. Wicked John said, okay, all right, we'll just sit down there and I'll be out in a minute. So devil kept pacing and pacing, and Wicked John kept going slower and slower. Hurry up, Wicked John, hurry up, I ain't got all day. Wicked John said, you see that rocking chair? Have a seat in that rocking chair. Old devil popped in the rocking chair. Soon Wicked John came out with his suitcase in his hand. He was ready to go with the devil. The devil said, hot dog, I'm ready to go now. But you know what happened? When that devil got up, that chair was stuck to his rear end. Wicked John, get this chair off of me. Get this chair. Wicked John said, not until I make a deal with you. The devil said, I done told you I don't make no deals with the likes of you. Wicked John said, well, you going to fly around with that rocking chair back there? So finally the devil said, okay, I'll give you 5 more years. He turned around 15 times and the devil disappeared. Well, needless to say, old Wicked John kept getting meaner and meaner, and by now he could hardly see anything. He could just barely make out images. And one day, after 5 years, he was sitting on the porch, and the devil came back. I'm back for you, Wicked John. I ain't picking up no hammers, and I ain't sitting in no rocking chair. I'm ready for you to go with me, Wicked John. Wicked John said, okay, all right. My suitcase is packed from the last time you was here. He said, all I got to do is just go in the house and get it. He got the suitcase and picked up the suitcase. And the devil was so happy. The devil said, I finally got his soul. I finally got his soul. The devil was jumping up and down, and all of a sudden, Wicked John started coughing. Devil said, what's wrong with you? Wicked John said, you shouting and jumping so, and you kicking up all this dust. I got dust in my throat, and I can't go with you till I get something cold to drink. And the devil said, cold to drink? I ain't got nothing cold to drink. Wicked John said, is that a store over there? He said, yeah. He said, well, just go on, just take a quarter and go on over there in the store and get me a bottle of water so I can clear my throat so I can go with you. The devil said, quarter? I ain't got no money. Wicked John said, but you the devil, ain't you? The devil said, yeah. He said, well, all you need to do is turn yourself into a quarter, and then you can go on over to the store and buy me something to drink so I can go with you. And the devil said, why didn't I think of that? The devil turned around about 20 times and turned himself into a quarter, jumped up in Wicked John's hand. Wicked John took that quarter, took his wallet out, dropped that quarter right down in his wallet. and went back home. All right, time passed. By now, old Wicked John was so old he couldn't do nothing. The only thing left for Wicked John to do was die. Old Wicked John died, and everybody from miles around came to that funeral because they wanted to see for sure whether Wicked John was dead or not. Well, after the funeral, Wicked John's wife finally came out of the closet. She looked up on the dresser, and she saw Wicked John's wallet. She said, "My poor husband, he's gone." She said, "I wonder how much money he got in his wallet." So she goes over to the dresser, picked up the wallet, and looked at it lovingly, and opened it, and out flew the devil, and he's been flying around ever since. Thank you.
Well, it's that time. If you're here last year, you know what I'm going to do. All the children, we're going to have you come and sit on the stage so that we can have a little more room for the adults. So at this present time, come on. It's okay. We're not going to hurt you. We're not going to eat you. Over here. Not behind. Come on. Not behind. Not behind. This is the part I enjoy. Not behind. Come on. We're going to sit right over here. Nope. Nope. This way. And you're going to be looking this way. This way. I'm having a great time. This way. How y'all doing? Good. Loving y'all. Okay, we're going to have it over this way. You're not going to be, nope. You're not going to be able to see the storytellers. Over here. All of this. A lot of space. That's right. You know how you do in school. You look this way. And we're going to keep a path clear so that we can walk through. So you got all this space. Parents, can you help me? Help me. Help me out. Over here.
Oh, you want them on this side?
Well, I want them all over, but we still have to walk through a path.
Oh.
Right.
Okay. All y'all over here?
Shift. That's a good word. Shift.
This way. Over this way, baby. No.
This way.
We're gonna make a path.
See, we have to walk through. I know I look like I could fly, but I can't. Still need a path, open path. Hi, how are you? Good. Over here. How you doing? Good. You can't see. Over here. Right. See, look. I like to ask you a little bit more. Hi. I'd like to ask you a little bit more so you have a clear path. Not behind me. Not behind me. Not behind me. Over here.
Come on that side.
There you go. Woo, Sister Tired. First and foremost, I'd like to say Happy Founders Day to all of us. To Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And to Delta Sigma Theta. That's right. Am I missing anybody for the January birthdays? Zeta Phi Beta, excuse me, there you go. As I said, oh, your birthday? Happy birthday. Oh, okay. Happy birthday and happy Founders Day. Happy birthday and happy Founders Day. This is our month. All right. So who we'll have on the stage will be the wonderful, wonderful Jeanette Samuels. Thank you.
So glad the mic is low enough. I am vertically challenged. Okay, so I'm going to do a little chant, and I'm going to do it twice, and I want you kids to respond. Call and response is a big part of storytelling. All right? My name is Jeanette Samuels. You can call me Mama J. I'm going to tell you stories in my own unique way. So sit right back and rest the spell, because I've sure enough got some stories to tell. All right? So now it's your turn. My name is Jeanette Samuels. You can call me Mama. I'm going to tell you stories in my own unique. So sit right back and rest the spell, because I've sure enough got some stories to tell. All right. Thank you. All right, the first story I'm going to tell is another story about the devil. This is Melindy and Little Devil. Yes, now, a long time ago, when geese were pigs and turkeys danced the barnyard jig, there lived a little girl named Melindy. Now, Melindy loved to sing and dance. How many of you like to sing and dance? Yes, she did. And she would sing and dance just about every time she'd do anything. And this particular day, she was milking the cow, and she would sing her little song. Got me some milk from the moo-moo cow. Got me some milk from the moo-moo cow. Got me some milk from the moo-moo cow. And she danced this way and that. Now, she milked that cow, and then once she got a pail full of warm milk, she started heading down the path to her house because it was time for supper, and that was her chore, to get milk for supper. And she would sing, got my milk pail by my side, milk pail by my side, got my milk pail by my side, and I'm ready for supper. Milk pail by my side, and I'm ready for supper. Now, when she was singing and walking with that milk pail, she didn't even notice there was this rough patch on the ground. It was a little tree stump sticking up, and she saw that root and didn't even notice when she was singing that she tripped right over it. She tripped, she spilled all that milk all over her, all over the ground, and the next thing you know, she was upset. Oh, what am I going to do? I'm supposed to be bringing this milk home for supper. Oh, I'm in trouble now. I probably won't even get any supper. Well, somebody was watching her the entire time. She didn't even know it. Right there on the fence line was this little creature, and she wiped a tear and she said, "What are you doing here, baboon?" And he said, "I am not a baboon." And she said, "Well, you sure look like one to me." And he said, "You need to take a closer look." And she looked, and she saw two horns protruding out his head. Why, she saw all this fur all over him. She saw this long tail, and he was carrying a pitchfork. She said, "Oh, my goodness, you're a devil." He said, "Yes, I am." But she said, "You're not but a minute big." "Well, I'm the devil just the same. They call me Little Devil." And you know what, child? You my first child assignment. Very first. She said, "Well, I hear you the devil, but you're just too little." He said, "Watch me change." He grew so big, he towered over her, scared her to death. Oh, she started crying again. "Oh, what you gonna do to me?" Oh. "Hush up, child," he said. "I'm not gonna do anything to you. Matter of fact, I'm here to help you." "Help me?" "Yes, I want to help you." So you're telling me that you can fill my milk pail up again?" He said, "Yes, I can." "Are you telling me that you can take my dress and make it brand new?" "Oh, sure I can." "All right." But he said, "I'm going to tell you something. It's going to come at a price." "What kind of price?" He said, Now listen up. I want your soul when you get ready to transition. When you leave this earth, your soul gonna be mine. And she said, when do you want my soul? He said, oh, listen, I'm gonna let you determine that. So she thought about it. She said, this sounds like a pretty good deal. She said, well, my mom is 29 years old. And that's a ripe old age. And I think that's the perfect age for the devil to come back and get my soul, 29. Now, I can remember when I thought 30 was old. I can remember that. So the devil said, all right. And so they danced, and he filled up that milk jug. He filled up that pail. He made her dress look brand new, and she was so pleased. She was just dancing and twirling around with the devil and having such a good time. And so the devil left, said, you know what? I'm going to see you in 29 years. So she grew, and she became a beautiful young woman with children of her own. Yes, and they danced through life. They loved having parties. They loved having wonderful dinners while she was having the time of her life. And then all of a sudden, that 29th day came, and she heard this voice in the background. I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to get you. I'm coming after you. I'm here. And there was the devil. And he looked at her. He was so proud. And she said, oh, yeah, I remember you. Not but a minute big. He said, well, just the same, I'm here to get your soul. She said, yeah, I do remember. I did promise. So she said, I need you to just give me a minute. Devil looked at her. Yeah, that soul is mine. And she said, just hold on a second. She turned around, pulled off her shoe, pulled the soul right out of it. And she turned around and said, here's my soul. And the devil looked at it, and he said, is that it? She said, that's it. Well, he was always up to some devilment, but he did not know any better. He looked at it and said, okay, if this is your soul, I'm going to take it. He took the soul all the way back down under to his master. He didn't know any better. And you know what? Melinda and her family, they lived happily ever after and partied and had the best time ever, because the devil can only get your soul but once. After that, he has to quit. Found a needle and the needle bent, and that's the way the story went. Thank you.
So the moral of the story is get your life together so the devil does not come for you. We're having church up in here. Y'all don't even know it. Next, we're going to have the wonderful Donald Sweeper.
No, you're not going to be here all day. It's so wonderful to see the children here today. It reminds me when I was teaching 6th grade, and I used to tell a lot of old slave narratives. And one student raised her hand and said, Mr. Sweeper, I have a question. I said, yes, go ahead, sweetie. What is it? Were you a slave? I said, I'm not that old. Nancy mentioned something about finishing of her class at 11:59. Well, Patricia McKenzie wrote a book called The 11:59. Now, the 11:59 was a train that would come down the track at 11:59 at night, just 1 minute before midnight. And if you hear that train whistle, that means that you have 24 hours to get everything in order. So down at the old train depot, Lester, Bob, and George, these were conductors who actually worked at the train station as engineers 20 years ago. They were sitting down playing cards to the wee hours of the night. Lester heard the 1159 come down the track. Bum, 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 bum. It just slowed down. It didn't stop. He looked up. He said, Bob, George, y'all see a train out there? They looked around. Man, we don't see no train. Well, Lester, being the only one who saw the train, got up and told the guys, he said, fellas, I'm kind of tired. I need to go home and get my rest. So he went home, got his rest, but when he got up the next morning, he went down the street to the nearby church, and he asked the person that was cleaning up the church, hey, give me the broom and the mop. I'll clean up the church. He did that, and he came to go back home, and he passed the school, and the little children were playing out. It was recess time, and they said, hello, Mr. Lester, how you doing? I said, children, I'm doing just fine. Y'all just wait here. I'm going to go to the store. And he bought a great big bag of candy and handed it over to the teacher across the fence and told the teacher to give it to the children. And the children were so happy. The day wore on, and he went back to his house. And when he laid down, he got up. It was 9 p.m. in the evening. He went back out to the train depot, and they're sitting down playing cards with Bob and George. Throw that ace out, man. Give me that 10. Give me that 2. And they looked and said, wonder where our friend Lester is. Lester went and sat down. Said, fellas, look, deal some cards out to me. I'm here. I want to play too. But they didn't see Lester. They didn't see him at all. Time wore on, and Lester heard the train. Bum, 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 bum. Shh. This time the train stopped. Lester looked and saw a ghostly figure like the Grim Reaper on the back of the caboose of the train come out and did like this. But Lester knew what that meant. He got up and moseyed on over to the train, got on, and when he looked down the other cars of the train, there he saw his first grade teacher. He saw his principal. He saw the people. He saw the hairdressers. He saw his barbers. A lot of people who had boarded the 1159 at an appointed time. The train pulled off, and went up into the air. And when it got up into the air, Lester looked down, and he saw the children playing for recess. And they were so happy. And he was glad that he made them happy the day before. Back at the depot, though, the next night, George and Bob came back to the depot and said, I don't know what's wrong. How come Lester is not here tonight? And a gentleman came to the door and said, didn't you guys hear? Hear what? Lester passed yesterday. And they were saying You know, that must be what he meant when he heard that train. He heard the 11:59.
There once was a tailor, and the tailor was magnificent. The tailor was fantastic. The tailor was the best tailor in the whole county. Matter of fact, he was the best tailor within the 100 miles. That tailor was fantastic. That tailor made so many clothes for so many people. Oh my goodness, everyone loved him. But the one thing the tailor was unhappy about wasn't able to make him one piece of clothing for himself. And all he wanted was a coat. He wanted to make himself a coat. So you know what he decided? Because it was time, new year, new me. He decided that it was time for him to make time for him. So he decided, first thing he was going to do is take time to measure himself. So he measured himself from fingertip to fingertip, from shoulder to ground. Oh, he measured everything, his neck, his waist, his hips. He measured it all to make sure he knew how much fabric he needed for that coat. Oh, he was looking forward to it. So the next time he took time, he closed down the shop and he went to another county, and he knew this county had some really, really, really great fabric stores. The weavers there were so wonderful. He knew all about them because he had bought fabric from them before. But this time, that fabric was for him. Oh, he was excited. So he went and tested the cloth to see if it was his color. He was kind of an orange, not a pink, his skin tone. He knew all about the colors, and he made sure that he was going to get enough fabric for him, for this coat. So he found the fabric. It would look good on his skin. It was nice. It flowed. He knew it was going to be warm for him. He was happy. He found a great lining that matched perfectly. It was paisley print. He found a great fabric that, the lining, it was going to be beautiful for him. And he also found some great buttons. He found a thread that matched the coat and matched the lining, and he was very content with all of it. So then he took all of that back to his place. Now, every night he took time to make that coat. That coat. He was so excited. Finally, and it was perfect timing, it had gotten cold, and he was excited. That coat was finished. He put that coat on. Whew. It fit so good. The buttons were great. The collar was great. Oh, the sleeves were perfect. It was perfect. He walked outside. First day he walked outside. Hey, excuse me. Can you tell me where you got that coat from? Come slamming. Where'd you get the coat? I made the coat. You made that coat? I made this coat. Woo, that coat is great. Hey, can you do me a favor? Can I order a coat from you just like that one? Yes, you can. Hey, I love that coat. Excuse me. Where'd you get that coat from? He had followers running, asking him where he got the coat from. He had so many orders for coats that first month. Whew, he was busy. As a matter of fact, he hired someone else to tailor for him. Oh, he was doing business. Now, that tailor, he was looking so good throughout the whole winter in that coat. And you know what? He wore that coat out